Well, hello all. Here we are again. We're going to pay tribute to that man behind me, Eddie Van Halen. For those of you who don't know the news yet, how can you not? But today, Eddie Van Halen passed away at the age of 65. Died of cancer. He had been battling cancer for some time now, and man, I cannot believe Eddie Van Halen has passed away. Um, this has been a rough year, man. Two of my music heroes have passed away. In the beginning of the year, it was Neil Peart of Rush. Now it's Eddie Van Halen. Two musicians I have been super inspired by. Um, I mean, I don't play guitar at all. I don't even begin to know how to play guitar. But he was a big inspiration to me as far as being a musician, being a good musician, practicing, expressing yourself in a unique way on your instrument, and just dazzling people with your technique. He was an inspiration to me for that. Huge musical inspiration to me. Like I said, my brother plays guitar, however, and just worships that guy and tries to play like him every time he picks up his guitar, tries to play just like Eddie. And he could play some of Eddie's, and he could play some of Eruption and some of Eddie's songs on guitar. Plays them pretty good, actually. But not quite like Eddie. But then again, if you grew up in the 80s, if you had a friend that played guitar, they all tried to sound like Eddie and do the hammer-ons and finger tapping. They couldn't quite do it like him. And though this is not the best video quality image, this is Van Halen at the US Festival in 1983. And I remember when they were showing this concert on MTV, I believe back then. Um, I don't think they showed the Van Halen part of it, but they were showing interviews with Van Halen, and that was actually my first exposure to Van Halen. I didn't know who they were before that. I think I was only 12 when this happened. This concert happened. US Festival in 1983. I believe it was in May of '83, and I just kept hearing the name Van Halen, Van Halen. I kept seeing the Van Halen logo, but I had no idea what that was or what it meant. I knew my brother liked Van Halen because he played guitar, and it was a name he kept bringing up. It wasn't until Jump came out, and I'm like, oh, that's Van Halen. But by then, I was in like the 7th or 8th grade when Jump came out, and I have been hooked by Van Halen ever since. I've been lucky to see Van Halen live in concert in person 4 times. Between the late 80s and early 90s or mid 90s. First time I saw Van Halen live was at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, July 16th, 1988 for the Monsters of Rock tour. Very first time seeing him. That was an all-day concert. So I think it started somewhere around noon and wasn't over to like 11 o'clock or almost midnight. It was a wild show. I wish I had a better video image to show you, but there he is down there. Doing his guitar solo. I thought it would be fitting to show him doing a guitar solo during one of my tribute videos. So hopefully you can make that out. I know it's not the best video quality image, but oh well. It was, like I said, it's from the US Festival 1983, a bootleg DVD I've had in my possession for a very long time. So anyway, so that was the first time I saw Eddie Van Halen and Van Halen live. Was in July '88, Candlestick Park, San Francisco. Every time I seen Van Halen live, it was with Sammy Hagar. Now I'm not going to come on here and say who's better, Hagar or Roth. It didn't really matter as long as that dude was on the guitar or playing the keyboards. That was Van Halen as far as I was concerned. Van Halen wasn't determined by who was doing the lead vocal. It was who was playing that guitar. That's what made Van Halen for me. And, of course, the drums. Alex Van Halen's an amazing drummer. But we'll get into that in some other video. And saw him 3 more times after that. The second time would be during the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour, or the Fuck tour as we used to call it. And that was in 90, I believe, or 91. I saw 2 shows on that tour, both of them in Sacramento, California. And the last one was during the Balance tour. The last album he had put out with Sammy Hagar as the lead singer. And that was a great show too, because it was on Sammy Hagar's birthday, so, like sometime in October is when I saw him again in Sacramento at the old Cal Expo Amphitheater, which is no longer there. All great show. Every time I saw Van Halen live, it was always a great show. I always more than got my money's worth when I saw him. When he played his guitar solo, it just blew everybody away. Everybody was just sitting there, just hanging on his every sound, like I'm sure this audience is here with this guitar solo, and you were just blown away by what he can do on that guitar. And no one can play guitar like Eddie Van Halen. I mean, first there was Hendrix, who changed the way people played guitar, and then he was second. The guy was just a legend, and there can only be one. And I just felt lucky to have seen him 4 times live before my very eyes, and those were great shows and great memories. I'm not going to show every Van Halen album, but I want to show my favorites. My favorite of the David Lee Roth years is Fair Warning. I almost said Mean Streets. Fair Warning. I love this album. This is a great album. This is known as the Guitarist album, which is probably why I like it so much, because there's so many great guitar moments on here. From the opening track that leads into Mean Streets, but basically the whole album is fantastic. The little guitar intro before Hear About It Later is stellar, absolutely stellar. But the whole album really shows off his talents well, and I think, and this is my personal favorite album during the David Lee Roth years. Of course, I like the first and second album. I like 1984, Women and Children First. Diver Down, I got to be in the mood for it, but it's not a bad album. It's just not my favorite, but definitely one of my favorites with David Lee Roth. My favorite Van Halen album, period, and with Sammy Hagar, is 5150. Don't want to block the man, so I'll just block myself. 5150 is my favorite Van Halen album, and my favorite one, like I said, with Sammy Hagar. This is a great album. This came out when I was in high school. I think I was in the 10th grade when this came out, and I was like surprised they were going to release an album without David Lee Roth. And my oldest brother, bought the cassette tape of 5150, and we were listening to it in his car while cruising around town. And I was just blown away by how good it was. I thought it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I was like, oh, Jesus. And that was like my favorite album that year. That and An Invisible Touch by Genesis. Those were my 2 favorite albums in '86. Hard to believe Genesis was on the road during the same year Van Halen, fronted by Van Hagar, was on the road. They were both on the road in 1986. So what a year that was. I wish I could have saw both, but at least I saw Genesis. This is a fantastic album, start to finish. Great group photo there. Will always be my favorite album from Van Halen. And every time I think of summertime rock and roll music, this is the first thing that pops to mind, is this record. It's a good summertime album. I've said that before here on the VC, but it seems fitting to only say it now. Another one I wanted to mention, I don't really have like a vinyl copy of it to show you. I do have it burnt on a CD somewhere. Eddie Van Halen did the music for a movie called The Wildlife back in the mid-'80s. I think the movie came out in '85, I believe. I could be wrong. Eddie Van Halen did the score to that. So, I mean, it could count, if you look up every song off The Wildlife, it could count as an Eddie Van Halen solo album. because they're all instrumental tracks of, you know, him playing guitar and keyboards and programming drums, and his brother plays drums on some of the songs. And they're great songs. I mean, you can hear if you. Unfortunately, the movie The Wildlife never got a DVD or Blu-ray release. It might have got a VHS release back in the 80s. I somehow managed to get a bootleg DVD of it off of the internet. But he did the score to that movie. A lot of instrumental tracks. You'll hear within that score, you'll hear early versions of Right Now, which he did with Sammy Hagar years later. An early version of the song Good Enough, which was on 5150, which I showed earlier. Some good stuff. And then he had a song on there called Ripley, which he ended up doing when they reunited with David Lee Roth on the album Different Kind of Truth. I think it was called Blood and Fire or something like that. I can't remember. I wasn't too impressed with the song. I liked it better as the instrumental. I wish they had kept it as the instrumental. As the instrumental, the song was called Ripley, and it's a great instrumental track. I was actually disappointed when Roth sang over it, and his vocals were left a lot to be desired. The lyrics were nothing lyrics, throwaway lyrics. And I remember thinking the song sounded better as an instrumental than forcing some vocals on it. But if you ever get a chance on YouTube, look up Eddie Van Halen, The Wildlife soundtrack, and you'll get a lot of individual tracks that he wrote for that film and music that he wrote for that film. Really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. And like I said, it could stand as a Eddie Van Halen solo album. Well, that more or less is going to do it. I'm really going to miss having Eddie in this world. I mean, of course, we still got the music. And I got all these concert videos if I ever want to relive it. Unfortunately, I got to look at David Lee Roth to relive it, but I'm not a big fan of David Lee Roth, the personality, the image. The songs he did on those Van Halen albums were untouchable classics. I'm not debating that. But to sit there and have to look at that, no thank you. But the music more than makes up for it. Great music. Oh man, so sad that we're in a world where Eddie Van Halen is gone. This is a big shock to me. Big blow. He's one of my heroes, and two of my heroes went down in 2020. Ugh, so sad. That's going to do it, Hof. Leave me any memories you have of Eddie Van Halen, or what was your favorite Eddie Van Halen song as far as what he did on guitar, or just what's your favorite Van Halen song. I would love to hear from you. Let's exchange memories, shall we? One of the legends went down today. I'm going to miss him. Well, that's going to do it for here. Is all that's left to do. Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. You will be missed but not forgotten. See you at the next video.